Information is an expensive asset. Imagine losing a 1 terabyte hard drive containing data collected over a year and a half period. This data to be presented in an MSc thesis. Relax your imagination because I have been there. My mother's firstborn, compelled by his Nyaope cravings, stole the above described hard drive from a wardrobe used to store my mother's curtains and spare blankets. For my friend so dearly loved me, she spent months and money collecting entertainment and learning content for me. Through the convenience of Pep Stores' courier services, I collected the packaged hard drive on a Thursday, sent from Makhanda. Indeed, it had everything she had promised would be inside. Occupied by running errands and finishing my personal assignments, I decided to fully explore the contents of the hard drive on the coming Monday. My niece, as in my cousin's daughter, was celebrating her birthday during the weekend. As an active breaker of the circle of absent black male figures, I obviously attended the party. It was a healthy affair. I sang a few notes of key, and my plate was catered to reflect uncle status. Waking up on the fateful Monday, my sunny after-party life turned into hell as soon as I realized that the drive was missing. Having misplaced things before, I opted for a thorough search. Dololo a hard drive. My over 25 centimeters long hair stood up when my gut just knew that my mother's firstborn was responsible for the missing hard drive. He had a long-standing thieving reputation. I felt flames from my spine up my hair, like Hades in Hercules and Super Saiyan Vegeta. I paced the whole house, stumping from one room to the next, mindlessly searching for what I knew was no longer inside the house. I screamed, "Angihlanyi mina! Ngiyazi ukuthi Thefwe nguye," on top of throwing multiple murdered promises. "Ngitambulala ngetami ngamfola." My mother naively defended her firstborn from my accusations. "I don't believe he took it. I barred him from ever entering the house." Like politicians ever stopped being corrupt because the law forbids it. I hate questioning and doubting my memory, my truth, and my instincts. But out of the respect I have for my mother, who was helping me search, I tolerated her secondary gaslighting. She had never seen me in such a rage. She picked up her phone to dial her firstborn. Instead of fighting any further, I chose to lie on the cold floor, clothes scattered around my room. What seared me was the loss of the hard-worked-for information contained inside the drive. My friend's months-long efforts deleted in less than 10 mouse clicks. I was weak, but I had to succumb this information to my friend. I sent a text explaining the situation and I asked if she had begged the information. I saw the text being delivered, then my phone completely stopped working. What a wow! Considering I longed for her reply. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I looked up at the ceiling and I saw roofing timber and poles fit to tie a rope. If you know the drill, I am sorry for triggering you. I fucking had a permanent escape thought in 2020. 20 bruh. It reminded me of the first time. I was so angry, screaming. I used something dear to me at the time, a mop. I wrapped the spaghetti around my neck. I was 11. Anyway, I couldn't handle being the cause of someone's pain. I was reluctant but I tied an electric cord on the timber. Tied. No one would have been aware, because in townships, boys sleep in the back room separate from the main house. Inside my bedroom, there was a presence, grandmotherly and more. My ancestors came, visceral, with physical understanding. I felt them. A hand brushed my back. I remember after this supernatural encounter, I resorted to breaking glass. The purity jars I used to collect seeds. On the Tuesday, I used my niece's phone to call my friend. My friend is educated, elegant, sympathetic, intellectually and emotionally intelligent. She knows psychology. Her understanding came as no surprise. She is a human being, though. She has limits. What if this was her threshold? What if it was her trigger? Fortunately, the drive did not have any of the data she had collected for her masters. Yet, it had precious pictures, memories of her family, my overthinking. I still feel sorry. About midday on Wednesday, on my way back from a plaza, I saw my mother's firstborn sitting, shaking on the stoop of a tavern, a ladies' bar, probably thinking about what next to steal to get his fix. Prior to confronting him, I was ready to fly kick him corner lapho. Surprisingly, I was calm. I looked at him in the eyes as I said, "Uthengisele bani hard drive yami? Angazi ukuthi ukhuluma ngani. Ngiyayifuna. Ngifuna inayo le information noma sebayiflashile." I walked away with a clenched fist and self-validation in my head chakra. My own and my mother's confrontational phone calls must have tickled his conscience. He came confessing, at a price though. My mother had to fork out 100 rand, the mere amount he sold it for, to one of the electronic shops at Plaza. He might have sold it for 50. Kwatiban, how do you trust a con? Someone who takes advantage of every situation. Anyway, when my brother was coming up, the stones were wet. He is smart, was top billing presenter, handsome. He had every opportunity in his hands. Affirmative action had power back then. He had present male role models. By his preternatural talents and charisma, he could be nepotizing me into his multinational conglomerate or funding my theater aspirations. But ke, he has been to jail multiple times where they sing and compose some of the best pops. He could have birthed an illustrious career in Kwaito or Afropop. Other firstborns are paying black tax. My mother's firstborn is scamming his nieces out of scuffed-in money. I'm fucking insensitive. There are people who are on drugs because of the pressures of black tax. Why can't he steal his Nyaope from the source? If he is really determined to get high, why not rob his dealers? Here's a list of household goods my brother has appropriated to fit his habit. This list is inconclusive because, like most African women, my mother collects house and home supplies for special events. We just know more is missing compared to what was stored. 1. Land. Yes. 15 by 15 square meters. 2. Coins, change, and bread money. 3. Plates, cups, containers, pots, buckets, and cutlery. 4. Bricks of butter, tinned food, meat, and eggs. 5. Cleaning chemicals, toiletries, and cosmetics. 6. Money. 7. Clothes, boots, draping sheets, bags, and curtains. 8. flower and decorative pots. 9. Television set, cell phones, a two-plate oven, and fans. 10. House, garden, tools, spare wiring cables, ceramic tiles and building tools, cool drink and beer bottles, crates and refuse bags, chelete, zaka, geld, iron rods, bicycles, zinc, aluminium sheets, braai stands, our mangoes, fruit produce and water stored inside our buckets and tanks. This guy has been a walking template of an Instagram shop for ages, including free delivery. In our low-income township, his low prices are attractive. He always sells. The prevalence of Nyaope use in South Africa makes it seem a few signatures away from being legally available in pharmacies. The day it is legalized, I will be bidding for him to be the promo and influencer person. Since we couldn't beat him using multiple rehabilitation efforts, prayers, vacancies, sangoma cleansing, does this imply myself and the rest of my family will end up on Nyaope? Personally, I am a sensitive artist. The world is meant to be too much for me. But instead of doing drugs, I will be a fag. I grew up in dust, raised by a single mother rapper. Isn't being related to drugs a prerequisite? Here's my first bar. What if corrupt politicians are my mother's firstborns? Old people on billions of rands worth of Nyaope. There is allegedly a father whose physical discipline and rehabilitation of his son failed dismally. He now sponsors his son's Nyaope to keep him alive and away from vandalizing other persons' homes. It breaks my heart knowing that millions of South Africans can relate to this article. My optimism never died. When I can't sleep at night, I remind myself that Loksalago, he is only a user, not a seller. In his heydays, he was a skelegeqe, and that gave us limited sleep. Worrying about police barging into our home, or someone coming to cry about how he has hurt them. Did our parents ever think that they would be facing a drug epidemic on top of their apartheid traumas? One day I will laugh at all this, but for now I am still recovering. So father fucking keep your sorrow away from my comments section. You live in South Africa. You most probably also have a relative who is within.